Hello everyone, and welcome to the Cioffi Brothers podcast. I'm Ken.
And I'm Alex.
And today we will be reviewing a few of the DC Direct power batteries. We have red, green, and blue, a little RGB for you. So this is going to be a joint review. Alex and I each have some lanterns to talk about. The blue one I've had for about 2 years now. I think Alex has had his for...
About 6 months or so.
Okay. And then the green one I just received as a gift for my birthday, and I've had that for a couple of days. But I think things that we want to talk about in regards to them are kind of applicable between both of these two. So I don't think it's going to affect things too terribly much.
No. As you can clearly see, the blue and the green use the same mold.
Yeah.
Except for the top piece
this
here.
Top piece, you can kind of see if you really want to. I wouldn't say it's a detriment to the piece, but you can kind of see how this is a separate piece from the rest of the cast, which I don't fault them on. The fact that we've got so many of the different kinds of lanterns. If they got to do what they got to do to cut costs here and there, I'm not going to begrudge them if it gets us more lanterns.
Yeah, seriously.
So let's start off with the pros. First of all, I would say they're very accurate to the comics. As we were saying, there's not too much of a differentiation between the green and the blue, but I think where we really see the accuracy to the comics and where it really shines is in the Red Lantern. And if Alex, you want to talk about that one a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. And this has always been one of my favorite points of the Red Lantern in the comics. I felt they were so different from all the other lanterns, and it really shows. As you can see, I'm a huge Red Lantern fan, and the attention to detail that they could have just pumped out another plain mold with a red coloring, but they decided to go the extra mile. They decided to do a brand new mold here with the Red Lantern insignia engraved on top, even a brand new handle. And it's just really cool, very accurate to the comics, even accurate to the little action figure of Atrocitus we have. The lantern is just amazingly detailed.
Yeah, we do have, it's a good point you bring up, Alex, that we are well decked out for this particular podcast today. Alex is wearing his Red Lantern t-shirt, and he has his Red Lantern power ring. I have my Blue Lantern t-shirt, my Green Lantern power ring, and my Green Lantern water glass. And, of course, we have a couple figures here to go along with it, just for fun. So the next pro, I would definitely say, is the high-quality build. I mean, Alex kind of touched upon that a little bit earlier, but, these things are solid. They're surprisingly heavy and surprisingly durable. Like, I was really surprised the first time that I went to pick it up. I think this was the first one that we'd gotten, that any of us had put our hands on, and just how heavy duty and just durable it feels. I certainly wouldn't want to be throwing it around too terribly much, but it definitely seems like it could stand up to a little bit of a beating.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, especially when you get to, once again, focusing on my Red Lantern one, with the handle really actually adds quite a little bit of weight to it, which I will talk about a little bit later once we reach our cons.
Sure.
But yeah, definitely the build and the weight is it's something to really get into your hands. You see pictures of it online, but it doesn't do justice.
It does not.
They're a very good build.
Yeah. So the next pro, I think we can get a little nuts here. They come with replica rings, which are really very cool. I mean, they're very similar to, if you've seen any of the ones that were released during the Blackest Night storyline. They're very similar in build to those, but still very cool. They didn't need to provide them for these lanterns, but they do provide them, and they give us a nice little stand to kind of put them on and display them with your lantern. And what's really cool about the fact that they provided them is they I got it on here Sinestro style, and we'll do Saint Walker on this hand here. Is that they actually light up, which is just the coolest. It's the absolute coolest. There's nothing better than putting one of these things on, bringing it up to your lantern, and having that sucker light up.
It is. It's really cool, and what's really cool is it's not just like, oh, flick a switch and it turns on.
Right.
You are using the rings exclusively to activate the power battery, which is just so cool, so neat.
Is something they came close to with the I think it was the 1/4 scale replicas.
Yes.
Those lit up, the rings lit up, and the lanterns themselves lit up. You can see they go off after about 30 seconds or so. Those lit up, but they didn't have that kind of added effect of really like you lift your ring up to the lantern and it lighting up. So it's just kind of a cool thing that they didn't have to do and they included and really just add to the cool factor of it.
Definitely love that feature. Not only that, going back to the build quality and the base, I wanted to say even the base is nice. Like, even the base is a solid piece of probably plastic, but it's a solid piece.
Resin or something, but it's
and even that is nice.
It's got some heft to it, and
it displays so well with the lanterns themselves, with the color scheme. And everything. It's not just like a random red pedestal. It is. It is the same paint app they used with
it definitely lends to the quality.
And definitely lends to the quality.
Yeah. So, as with all things, we did our list of pros. Now we got to do our list of cons. And it's a relatively short list, but things that are worth bringing up nonetheless. I think the first one to bring up is the price point. So when these first came out, I think the price point was a little higher than where they are right now. I think some of them you can find for as low as like the $135 price point, but I think we've seen them depending on how rare they are. I know the red ones can be kind of rare, and the yellow lanterns can be kind of rare, and they can go up for, I think we've seen them as much as $300 in some circles.
Yeah, looking online the other day, actually, to order the green one, I took a look at the yellow one. The yellow one's getting up to about $300 or so, which so sucks.
It's pretty high. I mean, you're definitely getting a quality product for that price. But the bottom line is, you're spending $300 on a resin lantern that only actually lights when you hold a ring up to it and stays lit for 30 seconds.
Yeah, I mean.
So. Pros and cons. If you want, if you want them badly enough, as we obviously did, it's kind of worth the price point. But they are a little high. So just
they're a little high, getting higher because they were probably 2-3 years from the initial release of the first wave, which included the green, the yellow, the blue, and the, if I remember correctly, orange. Yes, that's right.
It's on the box.
Yeah, that's right. So now that we're getting a little bit out, the demand has shrunk a little bit. Mm-hmm. So you're seeing the prices jump and vary, especially for some of the first rounds, like the Sinestro Core 1. Yeah. And because the Sinestro Core 1 is technically a little bit different, uses the same mold, has a different handle.
Yep.
That's really what jumps their price point up, as opposed to the orange one, who was the same mold and everything.
Probably the same as these two, just orange. Yeah. Which kind of brings us to our next point, which is the availability piece. So some of them, because they are more sought after, are going to be they're going to be harder to come by. I think when Alex first ordered his red lantern, it was on back order for quite a bit. It took quite a while before you actually got your lantern.
It took about a year.
Yeah.
Because when I first looked into getting one, it was around Christmas time, I remember. But it just kept on getting back ordered and back ordered and back ordered.
The release got pushed out.
Just kept on pushing the release, or DCU kept on pushing the release. Yeah. And it kind of stunk, but I did eventually get it in hand, so I guess I can't complain too much.
Yeah, I mean they're very cool. So then that brings us to one of our last 2 points. I think we actually have one more that we wanted to add on to the end of this, but one of the things we wanted to talk about was just the ring quality. You know, we'd kind of mentioned that they really weren't that much different than what was released. What was released around the time of Blackest Night. They're nearly identical, with it, you know, maybe a little bit thicker on the top here.
Yeah, this is mine. This is the original Blackest Night one.
Right. So I mean the paint quality is of the same, you know, level of the lanterns, but it's the same kind of self-adjusting, kind of overly big, chunky ring. And the quality almost doesn't quite match up to the same high quality of the lanterns themselves and the base. That being said, it doesn't take away too terribly much from the overall look and feel of the piece. But you know, we would be remiss if we did not mention it.
Yes. One of the points I wanted to which goes back to one of my pros, the uniqueness of my Red Lantern, is the handle.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. Love the look of my Red Lantern. Problem is, the handle is actually too heavy sometimes. So, with only a few months of having it, it got to the point where it was too loose to pretty much stand on its own most of the time.
Yeah.
So you'll find that it just falls down, and I've had it fall down a few times, which frustrated me bad, and I found that it has chipped some of the handle a little bit. Kind of stinks. It's a small point.
Well, it's a fair point because I think, you know, with these two, you can have the handle down and it doesn't necessarily take away from the overall look of the lantern itself. Whereas this one, the handle really makes part of the design. So for this particular one to be suffering from that, it's a little bit worse than if these were to be a little loose, which I think this one is a little loose, but this one's pretty tight.
And you can see that it is a part of the overall design, and they spent some time designing the handle, working it out to make it, you know, really fit the mold correctly. So it's kind of a bummer that it doesn't always stand up on its own. Sometimes if I get it in the right position, I can just leave it and hopefully nothing happens. But usually it falls, which is a bummer, but still really cool item.
Sure.
Not gonna lie.
Sure. So let's bring it down to the final grade point. Let's give it our final grades here. What would you give the Red Lantern?
The Red Lantern, I gotta give it an A. It's an absolutely spot-on replica of what you see in the comic books, and being a huge fan of the Green Lantern comic books and the offshoot Red Lantern comics that they had, have all of them. It's really cool to have it and just look at it. I look at it every day.
Yeah.
It's on my shelf. I look at it and I think that's cool. That's just a neat prop. It's just a neat replica of what you see in the comics, and it's just awesome.
Yeah,
it's just amazing.
I would, I'd have to agree with that grade. I would also give it an A. I mean, I would definitely kind of add the caveat that this is definitely a fan's piece, a collector's piece. That it'll fit in really nicely with the rest of your collection if you have other items from the DC Direct line. You know, we have a couple of the DC Direct figures, which I don't think they go quite this way anymore. They do a little bit. I think they're focusing on the New 52 stuff now. But if you have these items in your collection, it goes really nicely with the rest of the collection. And in general, they're just fun. They're just fun pieces to have. So definitely, I would definitely give it an A.
Definitely worth picking up if you're a huge fan of the
Absolutely.
comics, Green Lantern, Red Lantern, Yellow Lantern, the Sinestro comic that's out here.
Yeah.
Any of them really a good piece to have for a fan.
Yeah, pick your favorite color or emotion of the emotional spectrum, and
favorite core or whatever you gotta do.
Just go to town.
Just go to town. You'll be able to find them. They are now all available in every color.
Yep.
Including the black and the white.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
And I think indigo, which is a little, I'll have to double check on that, but I think the indigo, which is a little different than the comics, because in the comics I think they have the staves.
They have the staves
as opposed to the actual lantern. But it's still, it's cool for the sake of
I mean,
inclusiveness.
if you got them all, you gotta get the,
Gotta get them all.
Go
Gotta get
just,
them all. Gotta catch
have
them all.
at them. Gotta catch them all. Yes.
All right, well, I think that wraps us up for today. Thank you for joining us in our review of the DC Direct power battery lantern prop replicas, and happy buying.